This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
Well, good evening, patriots, freedom fighters throughout Saskatchewan, across the country, and around the world. Hey, do me a favor, you guys. Share this out. I'm so terribly shadow banned on Facebook. It's ridiculous. Of course, we are streaming on 5 Facebook platforms of mine. We're on YouTube, Twitter, and DLive. So yeah, welcome. We got a great show tonight. We have the Calgary Firefighters that are suing their employer over the mandatory jab. You may have seen these fellas on Laura Lynn's show and on the Rebel as well. So I'm looking forward to that discussion very much. So yeah, do me a favor, share this out. Appreciate it, Kimberly. A couple other things, just we got to get out of the way here first. So there's a huge protest coming up on Saturday, the 23rd, in support of the Dutch farmers, as well as in support of our own farmers, because they're going to be facing very similar restrictions, very similar conditions in the very near future as the Dutch are. Trudeau has said back in 2020 that he wants to reduce the use of nitrogen fertilizer by at least 30%, which will be extremely destructive to our farms here in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, even in the Lower Mainland, and throughout Ontario. And let's face it, there's a lot of farmers there as well. And just in comparison, the Dutch farmers, they have a little bit smaller operations. It's a little smaller country, considerably smaller. I think you can fit Holland in half of Saskatchewan. So, the impact is going to be enormous on our farms here in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, Lower Mainland, and throughout Ontario. So it's really important that we come together en masse. I mean, I'm seeing convoys and slow rolls in Yorkton, in North Battleford, in Lloydminster, in Swift Current, the big one in Saskatchewan, Moose Jaw to Regina. And that's just here in Saskatchewan. I mean, it's pretty impressive what's happening across the country. Sarah says, I can't connect to your live because Facebook. And thank you for your continued actions. Yeah, you betcha. Well, that's just Facebook. It's what they do. So anyways, lots of people putting lots together here for this Saturday. So I'm very encouraged by what's coming. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. But without further ado, I have a couple of fellas in my green room waiting to come on. So I'm just going to show you a quick clip of the interview that was done with Rebel Media. I'm not going to show it all, just the first few seconds of the interview. I quite enjoyed this part of the interview. Stephen probably knows which part I'm referring to, so I'll just go ahead and play that now.
Well, obviously it's disappointing. I would never feel like Donsworth was one of our own. He's never been a lieutenant or captain with the City of Calgary Fire Department. Quite frankly, we all know that he couldn't manage a fire scene to save his own life, let alone yours or mine. The reason is, why are people like Donsworth placed in these positions of power? It's not because of their skill or ability. it's because they'll say yes to the politicians and special interest groups behind them.
I just think the pressure from the top down, from our political pressure being pushed down onto our municipalities and each of our business departments in the city, I'm not sure where the pressure is coming from, but it's further up the food chain than any of us realize.
So I just wanted to start with that clip, and I know you two fellas have never met me before, so I'll give you a little bit of my background and my understanding of where you're coming from. I worked in corrections for 25 years, federally for 17 and 8 in provincial, and I was also a fire instructor with the federal corrections. So I understand the bureaucracy. I understand how the lack of leadership is a huge problem. And so I completely understand and identify with what you had to say there, Stephen. So do me a favor, fellas, and tell our viewers what's happened, where you've been, what you've gone through, and where you're at today.
Yeah, Steve Dubois. I was with Calgary for 20 years. Obviously now former Calgary firefighter. My last position was captain, the role of captain. Yeah, I had to make a hard decision when it came down to the vaccination policy. I was off with work injury, and we had decided when I'd return, if I was going to have to be mandated, if I wasn't going to be given any leeway, that I was going to resign at that point, because they gave us no indication that this was ever going to let up. The option was to go on unpaid leave, which is constructive dismissal. I believe it's already been, stuff has been passed at the Supreme Court of Canada to decide that. So that's already been set. So I kind of had to make that decision because I wasn't going to go along with the testing, and I wasn't going to go along with the vaccination policy. Obviously, I wasn't going to get vaxxed because of the things I had seen on the job.
Right.
And also what I had learned over the course as I was doing the research.
So are you willing to share what you've seen while on the job?
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, it's probably the end of March of 2000, early April, where I started seeing strange things. And I guess I recognized them because I was following the Dr. Cole and Peter McCullough, other doctors who had done the research and were getting persecuted for speaking out. They were getting canceled by mainstream media and had the pressure put to them by the courts and stuff. And so that was also a question. Why are these people now being ostracized when they were held as the highest level of medicine and science prior to that? So we're lucky because the United States was ahead of us. So I'd spent a lot of time seeing what was going on there. And I was listening to podcasts like Stop the Shot and Peter McCullough's stuff and Dr. Cole's stuff. And as it came to our turn, most people in our region, I think, were able to have received one, if not two shots by April or May of 2021. There were a lot of calls, like we had seen people dying in their sleep, people with swelling issues, people with heart and stroke issues, like young people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that we never seen before. Even people like girls. I remember going to a girl, she was 18 years old with these incidents and no history of that. So that was a particular strange thing. I don't know if you know, but firefighters in Calgary, about 50% of their calls are medical calls. We're all trained first medical responders.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I remember a while ago they started to add the narrative of children and normalizing the idea that children have strokes. There was an advertisement on a bus I seen in Saskatoon that was literally promoting the idea that children have strokes too.
Yeah.
And then of course this ridiculous ads, sudden adult death syndrome. I mean, it gets more and more ridiculous as we get further into this.
I could be wrong, but the last stat I heard was the highest cause of death in Alberta was unknown. So unknown what changed in the last year, right?
Exactly. And Mike, what was your experience?
Sorry about that, Mark. I'm just having a hard time hearing. I'm trying to get my volume higher here, so I'm having a hard time hearing what's going on. I apologize.
No, I was just asking you what your experience was leading up to where we are at this point in time.
Yeah, I kind of heard a little bit about what Steve was saying. I know we, I don't know how far back you guys wanted to go, but
As
back
far
just
back
with
as you
the
want to take us, it's up to you, man.
when all these when everything started kind of coming out with the mandates and stuff as we were going out on calls. I know Steve talked more specific about certain calls, but when I was going out there, I found more that just the misinformation that people had, and the misinformation that through the media and the government have been pushing on people, how they thought that you'd go out there and this the vaccine was this magical thing that was just going to stop everything from happening. And you'd go to calls and we were the first on scenes, but once the paramedics arrived and stuff, they'd be like, the paramedics say, well, you probably have this, and they'd be, what do you mean? I can't have that. I have the vaccine. And they're like, well, no, that's not the way it works. You can still get it. You can still spread it. So it was just, to me, the big thing was just the misinformation and how and how it was being spread.
Yeah. And Gord, your experience?
Well, I put 25 years in a service. And so I was lucky enough to be able to retire as a qualified district chief. But I did do it under duress. I still had a bunch of years left to work. And my experience was really similar to all the fellows there, except that as a district chief, I had to interact with crews and I had to share this misinformation with crews. And it was forced on me. And I remember one of my last tasks assigned to me was that I had to phone the stations one night on shift and offer a private vax clinic to the crews and offered them to go to this clinic while on duty. And I absolutely felt sick about being assigned this. And I felt like I was targeted because of my beliefs to do this. So I would phone the crews, the stations, and then talk to the captains. And, all of them would ask me the same thing. Are we able to, I had the Moderna shot. Are we able to take the Pfizer? What shot are they offering us at these clinics? And really, we had no informed consent, none. We didn't know what these guys didn't know what they were putting in their bodies. And so I had to tell them, I think they're offering the Pfizer. If you got the AstraZeneca, it's up to you whether you want to mix it. I don't know. And, when I did phone to confirm whether this was, the case, could you mix the drugs? I was told, yep, let them go. They're able to do that. They can mix it. And, at that point, well, even before then, but I could not fall in line with that. I could not. And I knew that this policy was going to just keep festering and keep getting worse and worse. And so I had to make the choice 3 months before my retirement to call it. And because I didn't see it getting any better. So I have retired in December and had the plan 3 months before that, just in preparation for that.
Right. So were all three of you guys involved in that action that was taken outside? I guess it was outside City Hall, where you guys sort of stood in silence.
Yeah, I was there. Third row. If you're looking at the screen, I'm on the left side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there as well. Yeah.
And so, how were you received when you took that action?
To be honest, I felt standing there in silence with the fallen brothers, and it was probably one of the proudest moments of my career. I thought we were doing something to make a real powerful statement that we knew something was wrong here and that this was a violation of our freedom in this country, and that to stand there in silence with our brothers who've passed on, thinking about their sacrifice and what we were being called to do and the decisions that we had to make. I think it gave me the strength and courage to do what I had to do next.
Well, and that's the interesting thing about all of this is, I mean, when you guys arrive on a scene, I'm wondering why it's so necessary that you need to be vaccinated. When you arrive on a scene, you're pretty covered off. I mean, most of you are wearing SCBA. Most of you are, you're in full gear. How is it that you're going to transmit this virus through all that gear?
Yeah, I guess did you guys, I can respond if you guys want.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so like the science behind the masks,
Yeah.
the whole masking thing, like we could go off on a whole other show here, but I'll
Right,
just
it's
put it
insane.
like,
Absolutely, yeah. Right.
it's one of the biggest deceptions of the whole thing. For it says right on all of the N95 masks,
Yeah.
this product will not protect you from the spread of virus.
Right.
So
it's like putting up a chain link fence to keep mosquitoes out of your yard.
that's right. Yeah, because it's made to stop blood or spit,
Right.
not super small virus particles and cells. So what my research has led me to look at the occupational health and safety guideline, and I believe in there talking about spread of virus has to do with it's a class 3 hazmat suit with no seams, completely covered, and to be on a secured airway, so SCBA or SAR, right? So that there's absolutely no way that the virus can get through, and it has to be pressurized too. So thinking that a cloth mask or an N95 is going to stop the spread of a virus is beyond ridiculous.
Right.
One of the biggest issues with us going into scenes, with these masks on and with these Tyvek suits on, these blue suits that aren't fully encapsulated, going into scenes to these already anxiety-ridden patients, was that we escalated that anxiety. And so we would see a person with mild symptoms escalate to huge anxiety and go right to a heart attack or angina. And so going in with these suits on and these masks perpetuated the problem, and it was completely unnecessary. Completely.
And I will say this to add to Gord's point is that the majority of the masks we went to after the vaccine, prior to the vaccine rollout as well, at the beginning of the pandemic I guess really the beginning of the lockdowns and media buzz. What I'm saying, the beginning of the pandemic, because that was actually when the pandemic was ending. It was right around March, April of 2020. Were driven by anxiety. People would have false positives, think that they had COVID, and that everybody was telling them on the media, the politicians, that they're going to die and stuff. But going to check them out, going through the symptoms, they were having anxiety attacks, not any COVID symptoms. Typically, they had a headache and thought they had a fever. When we checked their oxygen saturation levels, 99% of the time they were fine.
So I think Mike's having some trouble with his connection. So where are we at then? So you guys at what point decided to get together and put together this lawsuit against, I guess, the city of Calgary?
I can speak to that a little bit, Steve. I'll start out. Talking about that memorial, the City Hall memorial stance that we had, that was the last of the brotherhood of the fire department I can see happening. At that point, I thought we were going to come together as a brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever, and bond and come together against this ideology and these policies. And I thought at that point we were at the peak, we were going to make it work, and it didn't happen. But I think from that point on, I think that we found each other at City Hall and found like-minded people, and were able to get together. And it was a great feeling to know that there's others out there. We were all individuals pretty much up to that point. And we just grabbed onto each other, and it was a good feeling.
Yeah, it was. Like me and Gord worked on different shifts and different ranks. So I don't even think we worked a shift on the floor together that I can remember. Hey, Gord?
No, I don't think
Yeah, so we kind of got to know each other through this fight, and he's a brother for life. Let's put it that way.
Right. So were you guys fired, or you just resigned before they could fire you?
Yeah, I was forced to resign because I was going to be kept on. I tried to resign. They wouldn't let me. They put me on unpaid leave. The documents are pretty hilarious. And I can't say any other word but damning when it comes to the courts, right? As far as the deputy chiefs are concerned, and our chief, anybody who has their name on those docs. So Yeah, so in my story, I tried to resign. They wouldn't let me. They put me on an unpaid leave. I had pre-planned this. Me and my wife went back to human resources, City of Calgary, top dogs, top brass, and got to the bottom of it. And of course, a few days later, they had allowed me to resign,
Right.
accepted my resignation.
And none of us were given a clear answer from the union either. We were all threatened with the possibility of termination. We were all told that, and we didn't know what the stance was going to be. So I had to make the choice to retire. I was able to do that, unlike these guys. So
You were close to retire. You were 3 months out from just regular retirement, anyways,
well,
right? Is that what you said?
yeah, I hadn't planned it. I mean, it was definitely under duress
Right.
because I had 5 years left, but I was able to take the minimum retirement at that point.
Okay.
But we were never given a clear idea of where the union stance was, and it slowly worked its way to. We knew that they were against us. We knew there was no support for us from our union.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I'm going to let Mike answer his experience as far as was he fired or did he resign? Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I actually, I did resign. I think the same thing. I didn't, disclose my status at the time that was set to be, and then I was put on a 30-day unpaid leave of absence as well. And then, over that time, it was, man, I flip-flop back and forth a lot. I mean, it's a huge decision, but every time I said, oh, you know what, I did my 30 days, I'm going to go back, it just didn't sit right in my heart. I mean, I couldn't do it. And so, yeah, when it was that done, it was going to be, I think like Steve said, they were just going to keep putting you on 30-day unpaid leave of absence. Right. So I just decided at that time to resign. Yep.
Because coming out of corrections, I know some people in correction, of course, a lot of them were forced to get the jab to keep their jobs, put food on the table, keep their families fed, whatever. But I do know there's some people in the service that turned it into a religious thing. In fact, one person I know, she's a witch. She's a Wicca thing. I don't know what that is, but she used that as her way out. And so they couldn't force her due to her religious beliefs. Did you guys ever try that angle?
Well, we were in a group of about 180. No, I think at one point it's almost 190 members.
Okay.
And guys were trying it and getting denied. Right. There was finally a few successful ones, but out of the multiple guys trying, it was an arduous, invasive process that the city set up. And
sure.
So most guys gave up on that angle.
Right. Yeah. And isn't it a shame, and I completely understand it, that you've paid your dues to the union for your entire career, and when the chips are down, where are they?
Yeah, unfortunately, like I've been a union member like pretty much my whole life. I worked for Canada Safeway, and then I was a Teamster working at Canadian Freightways, and then part of the IAFF.
Yep. And
to see how the union executives have behaved, not just here, but all across North America.
Yep.
I'm scared for the future of unions. Because let me put it to you this way. My kids go to Catholic school, and once they start teachers pushing the pride agenda and the transgender agenda, things that are contradictory to the faith, the purpose of the Catholic school has now become null and void. It's gone, right? If you're not going to stand up for the truth, what good are you? If you're not going to provide fair wages, fair work in a safe environment like a union's supposed to do, how much use do you think you have? I think the executives maybe got focused maybe on their own careers and ambition, which I don't blame them for doing. But you still have to stay focused on your job at the time to do it as well as you can.
But this is why it's so important that there's guys like yourselves that are willing to stand up and willing to fight for what's right. There's not enough of us, but it's important that there is us and a number of us, across the country in North America and because this whole thing, when you mention even the schools and the Catholic Church and Christian churches, this whole thing is one big agenda, right? This is why they've used COVID to condition and socially engineer the masses for what's yet to come. This is a much bigger agenda. So it's important that when we're pushed, that we stand up for what we believe is right and what we know is right. We have to do this. And for a lot of us, for you guys especially, this is the sacrifice. This is, you have to give up a job that you probably loved, but it's absolutely necessary. Somebody has to stand up for our values and principles.
We were taught to trust our instincts, trust our experience, our training, go with our gut, and right from the start, all of us in this brotherhood now, trusted our gut on this. We knew this wasn't right. It just didn't sit well with us, and it was hard to do that because we got so much pushback. But I think I can speak for all of us. We all feel better that we stood up. We all feel like our souls are clear. Like
your conscience is clear.
We know what's right.
You're on the right side of history. Absolutely. Yep.
And I will say this, like one big part of the lawsuit in seeking accountability and to test the courts whether or not they will uphold the law, so we can see what state our country's in. Because if the courts don't uphold the law, I don't know if there's a future here for me and my family. Let's put it that way. But a big part of it, like I was saying, is to look at these individuals, like our fire chief and his deputies, who were hired to protect the citizens of Calgary and lead those who protect the citizens of Calgary, and who failed on an epic level, and in some ways, I would say to criminal negligence.
100%.
Yeah,
Mike,
Mark,
go ahead.
Well, just going back to what you were saying earlier there, Mark, about and I've said it before, right? It's going to take. I mean, we're just the average Canadians. I mean, we were firefighters, and that gave us a bit of a platform. But it's going to take everybody in this country to stand up. I mean, it's going to take, and we can't leave it up to the politicians. We can't leave it up to. We got to get the people going here. And I know as Canadians, we're always a little bit laid back, maybe, and just trying to wait it out, or we can get through this. But we can't. I mean, if we wait, we're not going to have it.
Absolutely 100%.
So I mean, we just need everybody to stand up, no matter who you are.
Well, and that's the thing. I talk a lot about that. I do a lot of public speaking. I got this platform, and I talk a lot about all of this stuff that we're going through, the stuff that you guys are going through, a lot of other folks are going through. All of this stuff is necessary, right? Because until the masses, until they're affected, until their bubble is burst, we're going to be pretty alone for a while until they get woken up. And it's either going to be, Mark Friesen telling them what's going to happen, which most times they don't listen to. It's going to be the reality and the consequences of that reality that burst a lot of these bubbles. And then we're going to have this critical mass to be able to affect change. But we have to go through these tribulations to get there.
Yeah. No, you're right. It seems like you're absolutely right. Until it affects until it actually affects you personally, you probably are like, well, you're sitting back waiting to see if it'll go away. But yeah, it's eventually going to affect everybody if we don't stop with the way this country's going.
Well, I mean, of course it is. Even just with the jabs. I mean, everyone said, get your first jab and that'll be it. It'll be over. Well, it wasn't over. You have to get a second jab, and then you got to get a third booster, a fourth booster, and Trudeau's bought enough boosters for 9 of them. So it never ends. And hopefully, it's a sad commentary that it's going to take all of these deaths from this poison to start waking people up to what's really going on. It's amazing.
I think we're seeing more people wake up, and we are. I'm still in touch with a lot of guys on the job, and they are waking up. It's just that they're all afraid to speak up, and that's the biggest part is the pushback when you do speak up, and we feel it because we don't have jobs anymore. But even throughout the fire department, the Calgary Fire Department, at least, guys, people are getting sick. They're still going and getting tested, getting COVID, still getting sick, having various horrible symptoms, and they're just not speaking up. I encourage them, speak up, speak your mind, let 100%. People know how you feel.
Absolutely.
Be brave.
So that day on September the 7th, that was the day of the silent protest.
Yeah.
That evening, I was invited to it was kind of a covert whistleblower meeting with doctors and nurses and police and firefighters across Alberta. And the stories I heard there confirmed everything I had seen on the job. Not only confirmed it, but shocked me right to my core that I never believed that this was going on in my free country of Canada. Doctors were ordered to put people on ventilators and treat with remdesivir, which 2 out of 3 times killed them. The nurses were calling it, they're going to make us execute them, were their words. And they were crying, and I knew it was real. And it wasn't just one case in particular. A 28-year-old asthmatic patient, female, came in, obviously asthma, shortness of breath, trouble breathing. They give her PCR test, and of course she tests positive, false positive, obviously. The direction of, I believe it was somewhere in central Alberta. I can't say the hospital, so I can't say names. But it was that they were going to have to put her in induced a coma, treat her with remdesivir and a ventilator, and she died. She died.
Sure.
And she was a healthy individual coming in. So
I don't know if you guys know my story, but I went through a similar thing. I was actually in a coma for 5 weeks. They put me on a ventilator. As before I went to the hospital, I went through 7 days of really no symptoms. I was symptom free other than exhausted. I was tired and whatever. My wife had symptoms. She was sick. And when I went to the hospital, I vaguely remember the first 3 days, but I remember the doctors coming in and kept telling me I'm going on a ventilator. And I kept telling them, no, I'm not. I'm absolutely not going on a ventilator. They didn't give me any treatment. There was no treatment initiated whatsoever, other than just lying in the hospital bed under the care of nurses and zero treatment. And of course, I continued to get worse. I had pneumonia. And by the 4th day, I was suffocating to death in my bed. And the doctor came in and says, you ready for the ventilator? I said, well, I'm either going to die in this hospital bed or I'm going to die in your ventilator. So I guess that's where we're headed. So zero, treatment protocols that have proven to be effective. Nothing offered. Not even traditional medicine like antibiotics were started. It was completely ignored. I was just left there to, well, we just got to put you on a ventilator. That's how we're going to treat this.
So you take a step back and you look at why AHS was not treating people or being negligent in their care and mistreating people. And the whole thing was to boost the death numbers, to make people afraid, because everything was a COVID case is what I was told by these individuals. And this wasn't a small group. It was a group of over 100 people there. And I know that there was 7 ER docs there and over 60 nurses and other like epidemiologists and people there. So these were like top dog people in AHS.
Right. So I don't know what you guys are allowed to talk about. I don't know what your lawyers told you can talk about or what you can't talk about. But so how many people are involved in this lawsuit?
19 firefighters. Yeah, 19 firefighters from the city of Calgary.
And all of them have either resigned or lost their job?
No. There's I think there's 8 of us that have resigned or lost their job, and 11 still active. I can't remember, about half a dozen or so that are still working currently.
And so, do you know what it's like for them? Are they getting pressure from their coworkers and the rest of the crew?
I can't be for sure. Like, I've spoken to lots of them, and it seems like now that the lawsuit's been filed, I think people are being careful, right, and not as cavalier with their speech, and I don't blame them. However, I believe most of the abuse, most of the intimidation happened at the administration level down.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, and how much is the lawsuit?
Total of 38 million.
38 mil? Okay.
Yeah.
And do you know if there's been other lawsuits like yours filed in North America?
Yeah. Mike, do you want to talk to the CNRL? Because since your brother-in-law is involved there?
Yeah, you know what? CNLR, they are as well. My brother-in-law, they're using actually the same lawyer that we are. They're a little bit ahead of us in the process, but they're doing it as well. And you know the others like CN, CP Rail, the WestJet, postal workers. I know there's a group of in Manitoba that's doing the same thing.
Good.
So there are quite a few other lawsuits that are there that are coming out. And I think as time goes on, there's just more and more.
Yeah,
Are there any that have been won?
I haven't heard of any that have been
too early.
I think they're all still in the process as far as I know. I haven't heard of anything that's been finalized yet or done, won or lost.
Yeah, so there was some stuff online about your brother-in-law's company settling, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh, it's possible. I haven't heard anything yet from him. He usually keeps us pretty up to date, but if I hear something, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay.
Well, and that's, I mean, with some of these that we've seen going through, obviously, like even a lot of the tickets that were handed out and a lot of these things, when it gets to court or shortly before, the prosecution likes to dismiss them, so they don't have to present the evidence they don't have, right?
I will say that CNLR, they actually did offer them their jobs back, but with no nothing to do with lost wages or any of the time you've been off. It's just like you can have your job back, but and then you have to agree that you can never ever come after us again if there's another man out there.
So crooked.
But I think they all basically. I don't think anybody took it to the offer, obviously, but yeah, I did hear that.
Have they come to you with offers?
Not me.
No.
I think they're happy to be rid of us.
But you know what? Even if they do, I mean, the trust is broken. Like the employee trust is broken. I mean, why would you want to go back?
Well, that was my next question. So if you guys win, and you're proven to be righteous, and I believe you are, and you're offered your jobs back, would any of you take it? Would any of you go back?
I think there would have to be a lot of changes made at the administration level, like a complete restart there. Honestly, from what I've seen, I'm a 20-year guy. I feel like there's an incredible amount of waste of money at the administration level to the taxpayer. I don't feel like we need the chief or any of the deputies or any of that administration. We have battalion chiefs that are competent in running the city. Possibly having one fire commissioner be in charge of it and giving more responsibility to the officers, captains, lieutenants.
100%.
There's always been a divide between our management, our chief level, and the firefighters. There's always been a disconnect, but over these last 2 years, it just got wider and wider, and our brotherhood got completely eroded because of that disconnect. Because management wouldn't see who we were or listen to what we had to say.
Well, it really is a microcosm of the greater society and the division that's been created there. It's happening everywhere. Every workplace, every institution is exactly the same. It's this division that's been created by all of this. And I mean, that's why at the end of the day, we have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's why we have a constitution that we're supposed to be supported by in these situations, which eliminates the divide. If it's followed, if it's recognized, if it's acknowledged, then we don't run into these problems. But it's been so ignored that, of course, now it has to go through the court process. And again, are we going to find judges that are just as corrupt? It's really going to shine a light on some things.
Absolutely.
Not only within your industry or within your work, but in greater society, right? It's exposed the problems with the bureaucracy in the city of Calgary, and the government of Canada, the government of Saskatchewan, and cities across the country. So, it's a pretty representative example of what's happening.
Yeah, 100%. One of our plans was after the chief had said his speech about how unimpressed he was with our silent protest, we kind of came together as a group. And sorry, that's my daughter in the background.
That's okay.
She wants to be part of the podcast.
Sure, she does.
One of the plans we came up with a discussion, because there was a municipal election going on, was to have one of us run in each of the 14 wards of the city of Calgary. I was off with the back injury, so I actually had the time to go and get all the signatures, and I was helping people with the PPC party campaign prior to it. So a bunch of them helped me with a bunch of firefighters, and
Cool.
we actually threw my name in that. Made a 3-week run.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, whenever we talk about this, I always chime in, because it's really one of the things that we have to get re-engaged in politics, especially locally, where we can actually affect that change at a local level. And it's a lot easier to get elected locally than it is provincially or federally. So if people want to get involved, and they should re-engage, the local level is a place to do it, where you can affect change pretty quickly.
Yeah, believe me, the last thing I wanted to do was win and run, be a city councilor. I leave the awesome job like the fire service, where everybody loves me, to the most hated job as a politician. But there was no leadership anywhere, right? I saw it. So it's like, if we don't step up, if we don't try, nothing changes.
Yes, 100%. And that's been the attitude for too many decades, where we've abdicated our responsibility as citizens to people we thought had our best interests at heart, and they don't. And now we're seeing the consequences to this. So we have to re-engage, and we have to get involved, so we can take it back and take control from these insane people.
But you know what, Mark, you know what, you guys are absolutely right. I mean, people are tired of politicians. They don't we need to get people in that remember what the meaning of hypocrisy is, that still know right from wrong. I mean, just average everyday Canadians need to, like I said already, but these are the people that need to get involved in politics and stuff. I mean, the last thing I want to be doing is, like Steve said, is thrown in the spotlight. And
exactly.
And you know, nobody's trying to get their 5 minutes of fame here, but we need to. If nobody stands up, just evil prevails. I mean, and I think we just need to. I mean, like Steve said, like I don't even like. You got to start thinking about running for politics too, like some office somewhere, because if nobody does, then we're just going to keep getting the same old.
100%. It's why I got involved, and I never dreamt of ever going back to government. I worked it for 25 years federally. I didn't want any part of it, but I found myself running for federal politics twice, because the lack of leadership and the direction that they're taking us is completely in the wrong direction. So we have to do this. We have no choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, fellas, I really thank you taking out some of your time. I know you guys got families and other things going on, but I really appreciate you taking out your time to tell us your story, to tell us what's happening. Do us a favor, keep us posted, let us know what's happening. And, maybe in a month or so or whatever, if there's something that you guys got to announce, by all means, get in touch with me and we'll bring you back on and have another chat.
Absolutely. That would be awesome, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks,
thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And kudos to you. You guys have a whole lot of respect by all my viewers and everyone who's watching. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
You served your communities for a lot of years, and now you're still serving them. So good on you.
Thank you for doing what you're doing too, Mark. You're doing an awesome job, man.
Got to do it.
Appreciate it.
No choice. All right, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Good night.
We'll have you back again soon.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Good night.
All right. So Calgary Firefighters, 3 of the 19 that have filed a lawsuit against Calgary City. Thank goodness. Good on you. I hope that inspires others to do the same across the country. Regardless of where you are, we have to fight this bullshit. And there's 3 stand-up guys right there representing the Calgary 19, and good on them. This needs to happen across the board. yeah, I'm so happy and inspired by people finally taking a stand. It's phenomenal. Love it. Anyway, where are we at? It's we've been on for 45 minutes. I guess we'll just close by talking a little bit more about this little convoy or protest that's coming up on Saturday. It's starting to shape up pretty good. There's sure a lot of chatter. There's sure a lot of talking. There's a lot of people getting involved. A lot of places really declaring their solidarity behind what's happening. And I got to show you this. This is good stuff. Hang on. All right, so stop it. So check this out. I just saw this on Twitter. It'll give you an idea of how many different communities have come on board with this slow roll, supporting the Dutch farmers and our own. It's pretty impressive. Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, Thunder Bay, Timmins, New Liskeard, Timiskaming, Manitoulin Island, North Bay, Castleman, St. John, New Brunswick, Moncton, New Brunswick, Kingston, Ontario, Saskatoon, Bancroft, Ontario, Yorkton, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, Montreal, Lloydminster, the Golden Horseshoe, Grand Prairie, Edmonton, Ponoka Start, Edmonton, Atchison Start, North Battleford, Red Deer, Ottawa, and Alberta's got a whole bunch of different ones set up there. And of course, they forgot Moose Jaw to Regina, which will be a big one here in Saskatchewan. So yeah, you know what? It's happening. I love to see this. Absolutely love to see it. Never doubt that a small group of concerned citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And we're about to embark on that change, let me tell you. This is in Melbourne, Australia, en route to Parliament in protest of soaring fuel costs. So just so everybody knows and everyone has context, everything we're seeing in all of these different countries, all of these different societies lighting on fire, protesting government is related to sustainable development. All of it. All of it. Everything is related to that agenda. All of it. Everything you're seeing is in response to that agenda. I've said it for I don't know how long, 4 years, maybe longer, that it's coming. It's coming. It's going to happen. There's no way humanity is going to accept this. We just can't, and we won't. And they've underestimated humanity. These globalist pricks. These anti-humanists. This guy's really good too. I'm going to play this one as well.
Destroys itself in the end. So in what destroys itself? So the masses always destroy themselves. Totalitarianism always destroys itself in the end. So and once you understand that, you understand. If you belong to the group that doesn't go along with the masses, you just have to make sure that the masses exhaust themselves, destroy themselves before they destroy you. And the only way to do so is by continuing to speak out. Because if you continue to speak out, the mass formation won't go so deep that they physically destroy you, and you just have to wait until the masses become weaker, and then the small group usually will gain traction, will start to become more powerful in
Absolutely
society,
what's happening.
and will finally be able to change society.
Yes.
Because, and that's the good news, this small group is usually going through a very fast psychological evolution. It becomes mentally more powerful just because it sees the masses, it sees the dehumanizing impact of the masses, and the small group, if it makes the right choices, will become more and more in touch with the essence of humanity.
Yep.
And with the essence of life.
Absolutely, 100%. Couldn't agree more. And so I did an interview today with Epoch Times. I encourage you to read it. I've been shocked here lately. The Moose Jaw Today newspaper did an incredible report on what I had said in the event that we held in Moose Jaw. Completely accurate to what I had said, and a lot of the things I say in it, they brought it up. They talked about sustainable development agenda. They talked about the consequences to it. Everything that I had said, they had taken pieces of and accurately reported it in an article in the Moose Jaw Today. Phenomenal. It's the first time I've ever seen any sort of mainstream media actually report the truth and accurately portray what I have said. I am always vilified, labeled, ridiculed in the media. Always. It's never happened like this. There was another one in Davidson, Saskatchewan. It's a town halfway between Saskatoon and Regina. We did an event there. Their local rag, their local reporter, actually reported on what I said. Amazingly, accurately. And then, because the food bank was the fundraiser, the food bank was interviewed, and they were so happy that this event took place, and they took in a lot of donations and made a lot of money for the food bank. So not only did they report accurately what happened there, but they actually painted us in a good light by being associated with this fundraiser for the food bank. I was shocked. I'm still a little shocked. It's the first time it's ever happened where people are actually reporting the truth. And I can't help but thank them and showcase and highlight them to encourage it to happen more. So then today I get a call from Epoch Times. Epoch Times does a lot of good work, and they seem to tell the truth. There again, I did an interview. I spoke with him for about 15 minutes on the phone, maybe 20 minutes on the phone. And he writes an article that is exactly what I said and what my concerns are and how it's related to the sustainable development agenda. It's phenomenal. It's cracking, people. It truly is cracking. This whole facade, this whole bullshit that they've had over us for decades is starting to crumble. It's starting to come apart at the seams. Keep your foot on the gas. Keep pressuring these people. Soon, we're going to get news that Trudeau's resigning. It's going to happen. Keep up the pressure. Keep doing what we're doing. It's going to happen. We're going to take our country back. We're going to take our provinces back. We're going to take our cities back. It's up to us. We have to do it. Nobody's coming in on a white horse to save the day. So stop thinking there's a silver bullet. Stop thinking there's a quick fix. There isn't. All of this is necessary to bring people together, to force people to finally re-engage, take back the responsibility that we've abdicated for decades, and do something about it. And we are. And it's such a beautiful thing. This is why I've said for so long, it's such a beautiful time to be alive. We've never had this purpose. We've never had this. I had to fight for freedom and fight for a way of life like we're going to have to right now. Never had to do it. What a time to be alive. What a time to live in a time where your life means so much to the future of our country, to our kids, our grandkids. Now is our time to make that happen for them. Yeah, grassroots rural will rise. Absolutely, 100% they will. 100%, Lori. It's not going to be the urbanites. Are you kidding? The urbanites are already addicted to government. The urbanites are already addicted to this dependency on government. To be, they either work for government or they're supported by government. It's not going to be the urbanites. It's not going to be those people. It's going to be rural Canadians that come together and pull us out of the pits of hell. Guaranteed. Guaranteed that's how this is going to go down. 100%. Anyways, I think that's all I needed to show you. Oh, yeah, right. Anybody wearing this pin, this lapel pin, anyone wearing that is a globalist. Just so you know. Oh, yeah, this is good. I'm going to play this too, just for fun.
Welcome to the simplest solution for rolling out and growing your WordPress site. Select one of our beautiful themes.
Great news, the vaccine is on its way. Oh, really? That's right, it's a brand new mRNA vaccine. So mRNA, that's never been done before, right? Oh no, it's been done before. It just never made it out of the testing phase because all of the animals kept dying, but it'll be different this time. How so? Well, we're not gonna do the animal testing, so you're just gonna go straight to testing on humans? Yeah, you could say that. I mean, even so, don't most vaccines take years to develop and decades to test? It's here, the vaccine is here. Already? That's right, it's here and it's 100% effective. No transmission, no infection, and you don't have to wear a mask or stay locked down anymore. Wow, really? Yep, I mean, except for the things about the mask and lockdown, yep. Okay, but it's 100% effective? That's right, 90% effective. And frankly, 85% effectiveness is really incredible. Oh, so it's only like 85% effective? Not quite, it's more like 75%, but hey, 65% still very good. And I mean, they said we'd never even get to 50% effectiveness, and we did, almost. So 40%, really great achievement. So it's only like 40% effective now? For a bit. A bit? I mean, it wears off. So, well, after how long? Like 4 to 6. 4 to 6 what? Booster shots a year. Okay, so it really only works like right after you get the shot. Well, not right after, because we don't even consider you vaccinated until 2 weeks after your second shot. So, okay, so it takes like a month for the shots to work, but it wears off, and even then it only gives you mild protection, but you have to get boosters that also wear off. You still have to wear a mask, you can still get COVID, and you still have to stay home, and there are rare but serious side effects, and all of this over a virus that has a survival rate of over 99.5%. Whoa, I never said anything about serious side effects. Are there, though? Certainly none I've ever discussed. Yeah, but have there been reports of serious side effects? No, I mean, except for like AIDS or whatever. Did you say AIDS? Yeah, basically you like get AIDS and then there's this heart thing where your heart explodes and sometimes half your face falls asleep forever, and almost everybody gets extreme nausea and pain at the site of the injection. Sometimes they just die right there at the injection site, but we're not sure that's caused by the vaccine, so we will not be looking into it. I cannot believe that pharmaceutical companies would actually release this to the American people. Oh no, it's totally fine. They're completely indemnified against any wrongdoing, so they'll be fine. Right. Look, a vaccine is literally the only plan I have, so it's happening. It's coming out and everybody's taking it. Even if it's risky, even if you have natural antibodies, even if it doesn't stop transmission, you are taking it. Wait, but you said it did stop transmission. Oh, did I? Oopsie. No, I don't think I'll be getting that shot now. Well, what if I offer you some tasty French fries? No. Okay, well, what if I throw in a single glazed donut? No. You drive a hard bargain. Well, what if I give you a chance to win $1 million? I mean, I feel like you're just trying to exploit my desperation at this point. I mean, look, this is about bodily autonomy. Oh, no, that doesn't exist. We checked. Checked with who? Well, the experts, obviously. Tell you what if I tempt you with not losing your job? Oh, so it's going to be mandatory. Oh, nobody's mandating anything. It's entirely up to you whether you take the shot or whether you lose your job and become a despised pariah unworthy of basic decency or life-saving organ transplants. Yeah, I feel like you're forcing me to get this shot. Nobody is forcing you. Just take the jab. I'm not going to take the vaccine. Just take the jab. I feel like I'm being forced here. Take the jab. No. You know what? I don't deserve this. I have a right to my own body. Maybe I'll go protest. A protest? Yeah, that's That's fun. Say, do you like having a bank account? What? I'm just asking. Do you like having access to the money in your bank account? What are you saying? All I'm saying is there's no reason for you to be scared of a little needle. Nothing to do with it. It's the only way to stop this pandemic. But you said it doesn't stop transmission. Exactly. That doesn't make any sense. God, some people are so stupid. You're not trusting the science hard enough. Look, it's not me telling you to take the jab. It's actually your sister, Sarah. What? Yeah, your sister, Sarah, is requiring a vaccine to go to her wedding. So she works for me now. Oh, God, I mean, it's like a once-in-a-lifetime event. All right, I guess I'll get the vaccine. Wow, what a coincidence. Where are the children?
Yes. And I have one more thing. Thanks for bringing that up, Yeg Freedom. So, yes, I actually found out a while ago. I was actually in Estevan doing a event there. And shortly before we went on, somebody sent me this, that we had made a UNESCO list of conspiracy theorists. So the UN, in fact, UNESCO, put together this list for everybody. And let's see if I can make that bigger. I guess I can't. Maybe we can do this. Maybe this will help. That's got to say something. It's it's yeah, whatever. It's funny how they refer to us, and they're still trying to do it by dismissing and labeling and ridiculing and shaming us as conspiracy theorists, when I only ever talk about what they're actually doing, using their language, using their agenda that they openly promote, that they openly discuss. Somehow still they're trying to frame us as conspiracy theorists. It's unbelievable. And hey, it just means I'm doing something right. That's all that means. And I'll just carry on doing exactly what it is. So that's it. So that's going to be a wrap for tonight, guys. I appreciate you coming on and sharing it out. Again, I'm so horribly shadow banned on Facebook. It's ridiculous. But whatever. We'll just keep pumping it on and trying to get through and bust through. Yeah. Other than that, you'll find this. Also, I will upload this episode onto our podcast, Apple Podcast, Podbean, and Spotify. Podbean also puts it on a bunch of others as well. So whatever your favorite podcast thing is, platform, we should be there. It's under the Forum for Canadian Sovereignty. So you can find it there. If you want to listen to it at work, crank it up so everyone else can hear it. And that's that. That's a wrap. And remember, globalism, bad. Nationalism, good. Ciao for now, folks.
One day, one day, one day, This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.